All right, and welcome. This is the Sleeping Yogi podcast. It's a really awesome interview I just did with Michaela from Robot Interiors, Midwestern artist. I'm already stealing the thunder from the beginning. Really timely, though. A lot's going on in the world. The Great Awakening, all this stuff that's happening, spiritual awakenings out there. People are getting the message. So without further ado, here it is, Robot Interiors Q-anon. Hi, and thanks for tuning in. This is Mike Diaz, and this is the Sleeping Yogi podcast. I'm really excited because today I have with me Michaela from Robot Interiors. She is a Q researcher and a Midwestern artist. Michaela, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm all right. I'm hanging in there. How are you?
Hanging in there, huh?
Yeah. Things are crazy right now.
It's crazy. I know. Things are really, really crazy right now.
They are. But, today my grandma won a round because I played bingo with her 3 times a week for the most part. Anywhere between 1 and 3 times a week. And today she won a round. So I won 50 cents today. So I would say that's pretty good. Things are pretty good if you ask me.
And I have to say, I love the grandma videos. The grandma videos are incredible. Yeah. I mean, for those that are listening, that's how I became connected to Michaela, is through Robot Interiors. And I actually had this experience that occurred last year, I think it was, sometime around December, where all of a sudden, all this new information started coming to me, and it always circled back to Q-anon. Q-anon, what is this Q-anon? And all the roads kept leading back to Q-anon. And somewhere in there, I kept finding these, I want to say, cathartic and very motivating videos from Michaela. So, Michaela, what is it that linked you to this work? I mean, how did you get started?
Thank you. That's nice to hear they're cathartic. That's the whole point. So it was around April that there's somebody I followed that I met because I was a Bernier buster, and I will proudly say that to my dying day. In fact, if I do decide to have a gravestone, I will put Bernier bust on it, even though I'm angry at him and over him. I was so proud of the work that Bernier busters did to prevent Hillary from becoming the president. I'm so proud of that. So proud of that. I will always say that. So anywho.
I should be full disclosure. I supported Bernie too, I guess.
Yeah,
I was on the Bernie bandwagon.
It's interesting. A lot of the Trump and Bernie people I find actually have a lot of similarities in terms of passion and drive and morals. Some are more based in religion, some less. And then I think it's just different aspects of how to get there. But and obviously there are differences in opinions. But I do think those movements are extremely similar. Because Bernie, it was everyone got together and made there were people building programming and shit. It was crazy. Apps, all that stuff. And then with Trump, it was all done via Facebook and Reddit and 4chan, 8chan. So it was just two different parts of the planet, the internet planet. But anyway, so April, I was messaging with somebody who's a Bernie supporter. That's how we met. And she kept sending me these 7-second videos, and it was cracking me up. It's nobody's ever done that. So we'd be having these, and I just would respond writing back. I felt really, I'm 35, but I feel old a lot of the time. So I was this makes me feel old because I don't want to respond to the video. So I didn't want to respond with the video. So anyway, I started to. So I was oh, this is interesting. I should try it. And at that point, so I started following Q in the beginning. I started connecting dots in April 2016. That's into the summer, and then summer of 2016 before the election, and then in last summer of 2017 is when I really started to connect the dots, to the severity and to what was going on, the depth of it. I kind of ignored it for a year, and that I really ignored it for a year and a half until I started writing about Q in the fall, and it was super depressing. to the point where, and it still happens, and I will probably cry during this podcast, I just would be driving and burst into tears. And I've had a lot of personal stuff going on as well, but the reality of, and I think once Q started and I started getting into like the nitty-gritty of it and the details, and then like meeting other people that were sharing information like Bohemian Grove and just the really dark, like the hunting parties, like the stuff where it's like, fuck me, like why are people doing this? Like that stuff, it just kills me inside, like a lot. And so I thought, so I had to go through all that on my own. And I thought, and for a while I sat with that inside. And I would attempt to drop it on people subtly, and it was rebuffed heavily. And that was it. And I get why. I totally get why. But it was also extremely lonely feeling and isolating. And I thought, if other people are going to have to face this eventually, which it sounds like they are once Q started, because that's going to be coming out, then I'd better help people and try to offer some insight and in how I've dealt with it. And I dealt with a pain disorder diagnosis in April of 2016. That's really when my awakening really started, because I started to focus on self-care more and figured out how to get my emotions and physical, connection connected, because I was very separate. I was disassociated, living in pain, which a lot of people live disassociated. They live in their heads. They're not in their bodies. And that's why so many people do such damage to their bodies with excess, I think. That's my own personal view. So
I agree.
I live that way. Yeah, I mean, it's just obvious once you see it and once you start to connect. And I was doing these therapies, I still do, that put me in my body again. So I decided, so I wanted to get these videos going. This girl helped me kind of gain a little confidence by making them in the first place. So my first one I made, I was like going to the doctor. And I was like, I should do. So I had started writing these like blog posts about it because I knew I was going to lose people, more people. Yeah. I had already lost some people, and I just knew I was going to lose more people. And this whole jumping into this has just been like everything I've done in the last year. Because I started getting politically active in real life, like IRL, doing activism stuff in April of 2017. And that was all leading me into how to learning how to use my voice and learning how to retain information, statistical information. And I think so many people who follow Q have had like these weird, just one thing has led them to this, which has led them to that has created this connection to something bigger. And people want to call this a cult, and that is totally their MO. They deflect. But what we are doing is we are ending a cult that sacrifices children, and they are in charge of everything. That's what we are ending. So they can call us whatever they want. But that's what this is. You know what I mean? Like, that's what this is about stopping, ultimately.
It is very real. Like, there are very real things that are occurring right now, like censorship, like people being paid to do political actions. Like, it's like the Q-anon stuff is very real, and it's so interesting how people kind of scoff it off and say, well, that's just a conspiracy theory. But, I mean, people are documenting through social media these very real events where there's violence against, towards peaceful people, where there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. People are getting censored. Their posts are getting taken down because they have a conservative viewpoint or because they're supporting the QAnon movement. And a lot of people are saying, their constitutional rights are being violated because of all this censorship that's currently going. And people are just completely blind to it.
You know what's been the most interesting, transition for me? So I'm, I get there are parts of it that were hard for me to digest at first. There are parts of it that are hard, and that's why people call it racist or anti-Semitic. When people talk about the Jews, so my dad's Jewish. My grandma, who you mentioned, is very Jewish. She's, Yiddish. She when she's, winning me money for bingo, she calls it my piggy bank a pishka, which is Yiddish for basically, a catch-all jar where you put your change and all your junk. So she's always like, we got to get money for the pishka. So it's she's tiny little Jew. So I'm the least, and I grew up in a very Jewish city in Minneapolis, a suburb. And so I'm hella Jewish.
You grew up in a proper shtetl, like a real Jewish shtetl.
Not really. I was actually raised Catholic. That's the funny part. But so it's like lots of guilt because my mom's Catholic. So I'm not technically Jewish by Jewish law, but I look real Jewish. My last name's Jewish, So it's I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Semitic kind of. I was actually doing police brutality activism. I'm not racist. It's about learning the data set of information and the misinformation they've given us, which is historical data. The history they've told us it's lies. And that's what people don't understand. And so they call it a conspiracy theory because the idea that they've gone through, however old the person is, 35, 40, 45 years on this friggin' planet, that they've been lied to is just world-shattering. It shattered my world. But luckily, I had already had my world shattered by being in horrible pain all the friggin' time. You know what I mean? Horrible pain. It's manageable. It's not great. Some days it's really rough. But I don't want to make it sound like I'm in horrible. I'm not trying to look for sympathy. I'm just trying to give you the perspective of I was in a lot of pain back then. I still am, but I was in flare-up mode all the time. And I had this friend, I mentioned this earlier, who I don't know if he's still following me or not, and he came to visit me. This was right before my diagnosis, and I was in a horrible flare-up, and my whole body was on fire. And I was in bed, and I'm trying to just exist and laugh and have fun. And I was bawling at him. I was just crying and telling him, you don't know how bad things are. You don't know how bad things are. He'd been at the same job, I'm not trying to make assumptions about his life, but he had nothing in his life had changed dramatically in the last decade. Whereas my life was completely upside down. I saw it, I saw it. I could see the level of corruption. And that was when I started to see the corruption. I say corruption as a broad term. What I mean is I saw the corruption at face value level, not searching it out. That was me watching the news live versus people reporting on Twitter in real time what was happening. That's how I knew. They were lying about the Bernie campaign. That's how I knew. And I knew if I cared about something and I thought this way, and they're saying that about me, these lies, then those are lies because I know myself. You know what I mean? That's how I knew. That was when I woke up to the fact that I assumed other people who had titles or worked for certain organizations were smarter than me or understood life better than me or understood science better than me or understood no. I am an intelligent, thinking, feeling human being, human person, same thing. And I can see reality. And I watched reality get shifted. And it was around that time, too, that I was put on medication. I'm not on any of it anymore because I chose not to be. Because I prefer to not be on as much. I do take medication, but all the stuff I've learned about Big Pharma and stuff, I try super hard not to do any of that anymore because they're insane, because it's not just them. It's the damn Rothschilds. Anyway, so, but I'm in pain, so, it's I got to do what I got to do. But I was put on this old-school antidepressant. And it's for nerve pain. And I'm telling you, it was I went to the eye doctor, and I just got the one or two. You know what I mean? Just like that. I woke up just like that. And it was really hard. Those few weeks were tough, man. But fast forward to now. So I started these blog posts in the spring saying there's nothing. You can go back and find them. They're on my blog. I was there's nothing wrong with telling the truth. It's just me saying, hey, guys, humbly, here I come to tell you the truth. And I have a friend. I tried to red pill in April, and she wouldn't hear it. And I knew I had to do what I had to do. I knew the only way I would get people to really hear me was to do these videos, because I figured if they saw my face, sorry, like I said, I might cry. They're really hard to do. They're very hard to do. The entire thing is so difficult, and it's all so awful. And that friend isn't talking to me right now, and I got why. It's so hard to face this information and to then look at your bank account or pay your bills or go to work or get a medical bill in the mail that you can't pay because you're disabled and can't work. It's those things, where it's and these satanic cabal pedophiles have been stealing our money and wanted to end us. And it's just so hard to process, and it's just so dark and evil that how can these people be among us? And that's what I struggle with often. And I'm pretty solo these days by design, and that's okay, but it's just really hard. So once I realized that I wouldn't be heard no matter how hard I tried with certain people, I decided I had to make videos so that when the time came, they would be able to know what was going on. I know that there's a chance they'll cut the internet to stop this information from getting out. I don't know for near that point, but I don't doubt they will stop anything or do anything to stop this. And I'm being realistic, not dramatic, as much as people would want to think I am. To the outside eye, the untrained eye, we sound hysterical and insane, and they believe we are a threat to society. What they don't understand is the actual threat to society has been running things and is being dismantled, and they're in panic mode. In a city near where I live the other day, a man tried to molest a boy in a pool bathroom. They are losing grips on their trafficking rings right now. They are upping their game because they're losing access to what they have, and they're creatures of habit. This is real. And that's what I've been trying to impress upon my one friend who isn't talking to me and anyone else who will listen to me. It's real. They are a threat. The people reporting to us that Q is a conspiracy theory and that we are all deranged are the deranged people who are a threat to society. And I don't know how much clearer I can be about that to people on the left or whatever side. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on this, but I am because I swear. Because it's how I do.
It's okay. Let it out. We'll bleep it out.
Good. But, I mean, it's like, thank you. That's going to be the title of my biography. We'll bleep it out. No, I'm just kidding. Autobiography. Actually, I decided that my autobiography is going to be called I'm Just a Soul in a Skin Suit Trying to Make It on this ball of dirt. Anyway, I'll write it someday when the Q's over with. But, yeah, so it's like people who are tweeting about Obama's birthday have no clue that this is the last birthday before realizing he was a CIA ghost and a lie. And he wasn't born here, and his entire presidency is invalid. And I was in Grant Park in 2008. I brought my fancy camera, and I took photos, and I marveled at the diversity of the crowd. Like, I was in Chicago, for Christ's sake. I, worked at the Hilton that was, I, worked at the downtown Hilton where I was, it was, everybody and anybody. But somehow, I look back on it, and I'm like, why did I get roped into this? When did it become so aggressively racist? When did that boil up in our country? I look back, and I'm like, they did it. I watched them orchestrate that. When I look back on it, I watched them, I can see how they orchestrated this division. It's insane. It's insane. It's just, I don't know. And I'm not saying there aren't divisions, but I mean, there are people that support Trump who are gay, who are black. That is not a lie. Large amounts of people. Why are we not looking at these things? Why are we not looking at the reality of it? Why are people not seeing it? It's just brainwashing. It's so scary.
Anyway. Well, and it's crazy because people, I think that's, no, you're perfect. You're fine. Because what's happening right now is that people are kind of going through an awakening. People are realizing, whoa, wait, something's just not right, and they're starting to put the puzzle pieces together. And they see it either in an inconsistency of some sort, or they realize, or they all of a sudden loathe going to work, or something traumatic happens to them, and they see life in a new light. Something happens, and it shifts their perception, and it opens them up. And it's actually really quite profound.
It is. It's beautiful. And I think, and the other thing, too, is, I get frustrated, and I'm like, why don't people see it? And it's because they designed it so we didn't. I sounded so frustrated and impatient, and I don't mean to, because today I'm feeling the impatience of it. I don't know why, but today I feel impatient, which is why I haven't made a video. I tried to make a bunch, and I just couldn't. I was like, I can't find the words. I just was, feeling so impatient. And then all of a sudden, I saw something else, and I was like, okay, I'm back on board. Everything's fine. It's just I'm feeling the frustrations of the massive awakening. Because it's happening all at once. But it's like
it's true, and it's all of us. We're all connected. Yes, in it.
But you get caught. I remember you go on the same sources. You get caught. I remember being like, Breitbart's the devil. I'm not saying I agreed with everything he had to say, but after I watched Clinton Cash, I started researching Andrew Breitbart. He was a fascinating dude. I mean, like, he was Jewish. I didn't know he was Jewish. I thought he was a white supremacist, like, Nazi. Like, I legit,
wow.
That's what I thought. I never even researched the guy. That's what Snopes does. Snopes is the one-stop brain shut-off shop. It is like, oh, this says it's false. Done researching. And they did it by design. It is, yeah, and they did it by design. And so once the election and the primary happened, I realized Snopes was fake. I was like, holy shit. They design it. The only reason I was able to do all the digging and research, and I'm still able to, is because I can't work. So I have the time. So, it's like, that's why. And so that's why people, like a lot of people in this movement, I think, have been in similar situations or have health issues or have the freedom or time or been out of work, or things like that have the time to see this. And then we speak out, and then that provides a platform for others. And like the more so I started these videos in April, and we are now in August. So that is, I'm telling you, it was like drip, drip, drip once Q started, drip, 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 and like connecting the dots, and like finding the comms or whatever, like they say comms, read our comms, which is communications, which is their signals, which are real. The Trump video yesterday where you said Q, what did he say? Q.
Oh, yeah. That was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, instead of you, he said Q. Like, I love it. It's so funny. Like, oh, I keep saying it, but I'm like, what did you guys expect when you elect a reality TV star to the presidency? Yeah. I'm sorry, but like, what did they expect to happen? Like,
but also, too, I mean,
reality show.
Right, and that's really what totally sold me is I remember reading the Q board, and then they said, check out Trump's Easter video. And then he says, this is our house, and our house is in... Wasn't that hilarious? That was the greatest thing in the world, right?
Tip-top shape. Maybe even say tippy-top. That was when I officially knew he was involved. I mean, I kind of knew. But I was like, that was when I was like, yeah, this is like, that's amazing. Like, that was just it was one of the more like, I knew it, I've known it. I've known it the whole time. I've known it. But that was one of the like, yeah, this is real. Like, it's like it starts to become real. You know what I mean? When I talk in my videos, I talk about 3D moments where it like, so the drip starts in end of October.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these posts I would read and I would burst into tears. Like, just burst into tears and cry. Like the one that's about 3,000 saved, 3,000. Somebody said, what about the kids' Q? And he said 3,000. They said 3,000 saved in Saudi Arabia raid alone. That one I just sobbed in my bed for like 30 minutes, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. Like, it's awful. It's awful. Like the fact, like 3,000 kids. Like my high school didn't even have that many kids. Like that's like 10 of my graduating classes. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. Like, that's so many friggin' kids. So it's like, so things like the tip-top, tippy-top shape. Somebody on the boards, for those who don't know, asked Trump to say tip-top, tippy-top. Work it in somehow. And on Easter, he said, our house is in tip-top shape. You'd almost say tippy-top shape. And people think he's insane. That was the other thing. Like, once I realized that, I started to speak Trump more. Like, I hadn't tried to speak Trump, and I didn't really, like, I didn't ever look at his tweets, and I don't really go out to his Twitter much. I'll just see what other people post. But then I was like, now I'm starting to speak Trump. I get it. I get what I get what the communications and the misspellings are now. And once people know the truth, they're going to be floored. Like, people are going to be like, that happened while I was screaming resist. So slow drips until April to now. What was I saying? I was talking about, the videos I started at the end of April, and we are at the beginning of August. So that's really just May, June, July. This has exploded, and like Isaac Cappy is the exact example. Follow him on Twitter. They are tearing him down, like tearing him down. But because of him, Michael Whalen, the satanic ritual abuse survivor, comes forward yesterday on Lift the Veil, which is a YouTube. All this stuff is on my Instagram. It is on everyone else's Instagram of these accounts that follow this, if you follow the right people, like, which you most of the time will. But, like, there's going to be a bunch of impersonator accounts now, I'm sure. But, like...
Oh, yeah, that's very real, too, the impersonator account.
They're going to try to misinformation. But, I mean, that's why... But, like, but don't you get, like, now... Like, I didn't know I was doing that. I set up a red pill college, basically, and I set it up as of last April. So people will know that I've been following this and I have blogs about it going I think till last year I might have written about it. I'd have to look. I don't know. But, like, whenever I got the courage, it was all about building up courage. It's, like, so hard to talk about this stuff. But it was us normalizing Pizzagate. That's what had to happen. We had to normalize it, and now it's mainstreaming. But, like, because of this, because of all the videos that I made, because of that, and because of the encouragement that I received from you, thank you very much, Mike, and everyone else. I mean, genuinely, like, you pointed me in certain directions. Someone told me how to open my third eye, and I looked up a chant, and I did it like 3 days in a row. And after that, I understood stuff way better. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. I just started connecting dots way faster. It was crazy.
Wow.
Like, it's just been stuff like that. But, like, you were giving me encouragement, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And, like, you had my name. You had the male version of my name. And I took that as a nice sign. And, like, I don't know if I believe in angels. Like, I don't know anymore what I believe. I was, like, hard atheist for a while, and now I'm like, I don't know. But, like Archangel Michael, so I'm like, cool, there's that. He must be a good guy, and he's got a fun avatar photo. So yeah, okay, this guy's cool. I'm gonna listen. Like, that's just what I did, and I listened, And because of you, and because of people sending me this stuff and this advice, and because people sending me information, I have been able to document it. And document, like, the VOP group who has uncovered. So tonight, like, someone sent me this article about Antonin Scalia, and I'm going to probably post about it, but, like, about him being murdered at this ranch in Texas. And anyway, like, it mentions the Redwoods at some point in the article, which is basically connected to Cemex, which owns the Redwood, like, a chunk of the Redwoods. Like, Cemex is this property where this child encampment was found by this group of homeless veteran outreach. It's like a veteran outreach group, and, like, it exposed so much, and, like, so many people don't totally know about it, or it was called a conspiracy. The news is covering it up. The police are lying. Like, I've got videos of it. Like, there's a video of this, like, the guy, one of their leaders, like, talking to the police the moment in Tucson. The police in Tucson are covering up a giant child trafficking ring happening on the border. Like, for those who don't know, that is real. The news is covering it up. They are in on it. It is happening in all these blue cities, unfortunately. It is happening there. The whole entire trafficking ring runs through the blue cities on the map of the electoral map of Trump versus Hillary. That is where the trafficking rings run through. It's insane. And so, like, yeah, anyway. I lost my train of thought.
Speaking of the children, and that's actually the reason why I reached out and I wanted to have this conversation with you and do this interview, is because I had been out. We were out on a walk one night. It was late evening, so it must have been 10:45 or 11 o'clock at night, and we were just out on a walk, and all of a sudden this very expensive Mercedes rolls up. It's a big Mercedes rolls up, and inside is one man driving and then 3 young boys. And they're all like maybe 7 years old. 2 of them get out of the car. They're dressed identical, and they're carrying lunch cases, like lunch pails, and they run out of the car to the building. And I just thought that was kind of weird. For it being 11 o'clock at night, and this like really fancy car showing up with 1 adult male and then, 3 young boys. Yeah. And I was just standing there, and I was just kind of frozen for a minute. And then I looked at the Mercedes, and the back door opened, and this little boy opened the back door, and when he looked at me, I will never forget that look that he had in his eyes. That's like, he just looked like scared. He looked like he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
And that's when I made the connection, and that's when it became very real to me that it is not just people posting and making things up. Like, there is something very real that is happening all around us that is we're all just blind to, because we're not questioning what it is that we're seeing, because we've been lied to so often, and everything before you is just sort of, I don't know, but in that moment it became normalized. Very real. It's normalized.
Yeah, they normalized it. They desensitized us, and then they convinced us that movies can't desensitize you, can't create violence and things like that. And they've messed with our brains so much. The CIA has messed with us so much that we are desensitized to it. And it's that, and we're you're probably a pretty good person. I'm a pretty good person. We're good people. The idea of doing these things to people is so far out of the realm of. I just stopped watching zombie movies a few years ago. The violence got too much. The more sensitive I got, I was like, I can't. I have a hard time with anything violent. I watched it with my niece, and I'm like, how are you not terrified right now? I'm like, oh my god. It's like they have. So here's a little quick story. I lived in LA for 10 months. That's right. I got hit by a car, and that's why I have my pain disorder. And it was in LA I got hit by a car.
That's interesting.
But I'm glad I did, because I got the heck out of there. I just looking back, I'm like, it wasn't for me. And when I lived there, I just really couldn't. I couldn't when I lived there. I just couldn't. I remember feeling like I can't here. I don't remember. I just couldn't. That's the only way I can describe it. And I look back, and I'm like, I'm a very sensitive human. I was probably just inundated with the horror that permeates, that you just ignore and you get used to it. And I couldn't. I left. We couldn't do it. I couldn't. I couldn't handle it. But when we were there, because I was there with my now ex, but we were there and we lived in this really gorgeous apartment complex that almost looked like a Georgia girls' school. It was pink and outdoor and huge, and it looked like a dormitory, like flowers everywhere. It was so pretty. But it was on it was Los Feliz area, and it was one night, and this guy, the police were next door, and we walk up and there's a crowd of people, and this guy there had been missing signs. A man had gone missing. And I'm fairly certain it was there were missing signs for he and a cat. They were the two missing signs that I memorized because I saw him so much. And he had been returned, and his head was shaved, and he was wrapped in electrical wire, and he was just dropped in his front yard, which happened to be next door to where I live. And this crowd, oh my God, it was just so weird. And we walked up, and we're I was smoking at the time, cigarettes, and I would always smoke. So I was smoking out there and drinking, and walked up and was what the hell's going on, guys? And there was somebody turned around and was just they say it was drugs. They were just very dramatic and eccentric, and I was this place is so weird. That town is just so odd. I also saw a woman on Sunset just pull her pants up and pee, full on just flash everything. Just on Sunset Boulevard or somewhere, some major intersection. I was this town is nuts.
It is. It is.
But when you live there, you get used to it because you have to, because it is so. Now I know why. Now I know why everyone's so weird. Now I know why they're all so secretive. They're on adrenochrome. And they're sacrificing sorry, I'm just going to say it all. I say it in my videos. I don't that's the stuff I don't want to talk about ever, but it's a part of it. That's why I say they're addicted to humans. They're addicted to us. We are just an object. We are something to be purchased or traded or used. We are a bag from Target. We are a pair of shoes from Payless. Well, I don't know. CSW. A little high, a little nicer. But you know what I mean. We're just something to be consumed by them. When you look at it that way, it completely removes all the brainwashing that has ever been done to you, back all the way to movies from your childhood. It takes it all away. I loved Poltergeist. I will never watch Poltergeist ever again. And I remember that movie. I watched it when I was way too young. And I loved it. I watched it every Halloween. I will never watch it again. That poor girl. Poor Heather O'Rourke. My God, what happened to her? Ugh. So.
Yeah, I haven't. All I know is that something did occur to Heather O'Rourke, and it was apparently linked to Steven Spielberg. But I don't know exactly the details of what occurred. But yeah, I've heard. There's just so much. I mean,
I'm not going to say the details. There are certain things that I just don't want to say the details on, and I just won't. And but it's awful. And these people are, it's not.
Well,
it's not pedophilia. It's torture. It's beyond pedophilia at this point. It's a torture. It's a way to torture other people, and it's just torture, and that's just unacceptable to do to children at this level. It's to do it all, but to do it at this level and this with such malice and purpose and such organization is what makes it so just revolting and makes you really instantly remove all emotional ties to anything that you might have once had. And then my hope is that the people that I adore, which are few and far between, prove to have not partaken in this. And I hope that because I've never gotten into Beyonce or anybody, I've never been into her. I was into Gaga for a little while, and then I stopped, and then I got back into it, and now I'm like, well, fuck that shit. But I was just needing some motivator music, so I was depressed. I was like, last year. No, not again. I denounce it, and it's freeing. I genuinely believe in my heart of hearts this is going to lead to like an artistic renaissance. I really do. I think it's going to be a renaissance of humanity, and one we have never seen. And the people who deserve the accolades for their art that just didn't want to pay the price, I think if they put their effort forth, they will make those. They'll make a success they may not have had before because of people like Beyonce. That's what I think. When this comes out about the real people, the real higher ups, I don't know. I can't imagine a lot of people standing behind them. I would be absolutely floored, and I don't want to associate with any of those people, quite frankly. Anyone who excuses this. That's my
we're already starting to see it.
Me too. Sorry, what's that?
No, you're fine. We're already starting to see quite a bit of like this revolution that's occurring. I mean, people are waking up. People are changing. There's chanting CNN sucks or the media sucks. At these different, I know, I love it too. The Trump rallies that are going on. There's a lot of people that are still. The whole Q-anon thing is incredible. How that is just blowing up across the country, and people are starting to ask the question. I mean, billboards are being erected across the country. And I mean, the information is out there. I think just a lot of people, they want to be told the information, or they want to be told how to think, because that's kind of the.
They're lazy. Yeah, it's lazy. Life's hard. People are busy. That's what they do on purpose.
Well, I mean, and two, that's the way the system's built, right? The system's built to keep you busy, distracted, disengaged, and like just watch TV, and TV has all the answers, and trust us. And I mean, when you start to look at the history, I mean, there's so much propaganda in our country's history and how it's used against its citizens, and a lot of people don't know that.
I mean, I didn't, and this is so. This is a really good example of why people will freak out. And I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it plain as day, and I'm going to say it again. My father is Jewish. I am from Jewish heritage. I am a Jewish proud. I am proud of it. I'm proud that my grandmother is a tiny Jew who used to make the best matzo ball soup. She made kugel. She made, oh my gosh, she was such a good cook. Oh, I miss her food. Anyway, I don't even eat meat anymore. I haven't forever. But I'm like, I would eat her matzo ball soup with chicken in a second. Sorry, chickens, I would do it. Because it was so good. I have one friend, dear friend, who I adore with all of my soul, and who has heard me out since I moved back home, and last year. She has listened to me since day one, and I practiced on her. Bless her heart, honestly. And, you know, we have a lot of Jewish friends, and she's married to a Jewish man, and I started the research, the things, like, there were the things that were hard to swallow. The Holocaust denying. It's not denying the Holocaust existed. It's denying the facts about the Holocaust we've been told. And people don't understand that. And I'm not saying that's true about Holocaust. I don't know what every Holocaust denier is saying. I'm not saying that they're right. I'm not saying we are excusing this, and I'm not saying it's right to exterminate Jews, like, for crying out loud. That is not. I am one of the most, like, peaceful people. The only time I get nasty or violent is at, like, the idea of what's going to happen to these satanic or whatever Moloch worshiping. That's it. I'm like, I want to see those people pay, because they deserve everything they have coming to them. They deserve every second of pain that is coming in their direction. I can't wait to watch that part. And I've never been like that. Legit. That's insane. Anyway, it's, like, so awful to say that. And I'm not doing any of that pain bringing other than with my words. Oh my God, I lost track. What was I saying? Remind me what I was saying. That happens sometimes. Sorry.
Holocaust deniers.
Thank you. So, like, you're the best. You should just follow me around. I had an incident where I got overdosed by an ER, and since then I will be, like, mid-sentence, and that was 2 years ago, and it was when I was seeking help for my being in a flare-up. They thought I was, like, a drug addict, and they just gave me, like, way too many drugs, and I was, like, hospitalized for 3 days. That was, like, a huge part of the awakening for me. That woke me up quite a bit after that. But, like, it screwed my memory up. So, like, I will be talking mid-sentence, and then, boom, I'm like, what was I talking about? And it's, like, the scariest thing. I don't remember like, the 2 weeks after that were blurry. Like, anyway. So follow me around, please, and help me keep my sentences sounding, like, flowing. That's why the one-minute meetings are great, because I'm like, I don't lose track of myself. But I talk for, like, long periods. And it's also, like, a ton of information I'm holding in my head. So it's, like, hard to keep track sometimes, or I'm, like, trying to, which rabbit hole am I going down right now? But it's the idea that there was the theory as I've interpreted it is there's a specific sect of Judaism that was taken over by this cult, and so that was who was being killed. And do we know the numbers of people that were killed? Do we know, like, it's one of those things where it's like, if our history has been built on lies, which it has been. That's what Q is revealing. Q is revealing that our history has been built on lies and telling us the truth. It's so sad because, like, so anyway, I told my friend this, and at first she was like, Holocaust deny, hold on. And I'm like, no, just hear me out. And, like, the more we talked about it, the more she was like, I understand what you're saying. It's like, once you kind of understand, once you know that I'm going to say it right now, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are pedophiles who sacrifice children. Once you know that data set of information, it changes everything for you. I hope. I really hope. If it doesn't, don't talk to me ever again. So that is where I'm at. People need to understand this Q phenomena, whatever you want to call it, the Q-anon movement, this team in the military, this Trump military coup of the deep state, this draining of the swamp, this making America great, this great awakening, there's so where we go, when we go all, there are so many different things to describe it, is comprised of people who are done with corruption. It is comprised of all types of religions. All types of religions I've seen so far. All types of religions. Non-existent religion as well. Atheism. I have seen all genders. I have seen sexualities. All sexualities. I have seen, it's all different races. Everything. It's all everybody. It's just human beings. And that's how it's supposed to be. They've divided us up so hard. So hard.
True.
And it's also a group of people, whomever is running this. I hope we get to find that out someday. I think it's Julian Assange. I think he's behind it anyway. I think he's a part of it, definitely. They're the ones encouraging, which, if you realize, all the stuff you watch is designed to make you consume, make you feel bad about yourself, so you consume stuff. So, like, our societal messaging is negative at all out. Like, I can't tell you how I've, like, as I've awoken, like, the people around me, just, like, when you notice that people, like, insult themselves in their looks and their weight, it happens so much. It's so disheartening. Like, it's such a waste of energy, and it's also like you're made how you were supposed to be made. That's what genetics made you as. Like, you're exactly what you're supposed to be. Embrace it. Embrace every aspect of it. And it's taken me a while to get there, and I'm there, you know, but, like, and I have off days, but, like, for the most part, like, our society tears us down, and here comes this person or group of people, and regardless of their, like, they do talk about God. Fine. I don't know if I believe in God. I don't know what I believe in. I don't mind that there are Christians who follow me on Instagram that say they pray for my protection. I can't tell you how much I love it. And I used to be like, for a while I got real weird about people who are religious. And I'm embarrassed for that. So embarrassed. You know? And, like, it was just a short-lived thing, and then I started realizing that, like, I have religious friends. Like, what am I talking about, you know? I'm living in a big city, and I'm working in a job, and it's a bunch of people that really aren't religious who live in a city working at a startup. You know, you get surrounded by a certain mindset, and you forget what it's like to live in the city you grew up in, and the house you know, go to the house that you used to play in at your aunt's house as a kid, and it's like, oh, it's still the same. Nobody here changed. What happened? And I came back home last year, and I was like, oh, my God, I really shifted my thinking for a while there. And it wasn't like I shifted much. I still believe I'm still pretty liberal, or not liberal, but, like, progressive on a lot of my stuff. Very progressive on my views. But, like, it was also really lame of me to, like, be disrespectful to somebody for their religious views or having a religious view. Who am I to say? You know, who am I to say what what's real after life? I don't know. Nobody knows. It's so, like, it's dismissive, and that's not open-minded, as you all claim to be. That's not open-minded at all. And that's what I realized after Trump got elected. I reconnected with conservative family members of mine, some of which back me up on Instagram and say beautiful things to me, and most of them are following Q and, like, texting me stuff, and we're, like, in this together. And, like, changing their views about the Bushes. They were like, I got suspicious when they weren't, when the Bushes weren't talking about Trump with, like, such, like talking against Trump. Like, it made them suspicious. They knew. It's interesting. It's just interesting once you kind of see, like, me, like, I guess you want to call me a birther. Okay. I guess. I'm just going off of the information I've seen and the fact that there's a video of the woman who certified his birth certificate being murdered. There's a video that was aired on ABC News, which I guarantee you was a message to somebody. It's like once you learn that they're just communicating to each other in, like, creepy ways, like going to these rallies and, like, holding a photo up and, like, just stuff like where it's like on national, you know, they're doing this. Like, they're doing this. They're doing this to us. They're orchestrating a play or a movie or whatever you want to call it, and we're all just victims of it. It's got to end. I want to have a family someday. I don't want to raise a kid in this world. I'm not going to, ever. And if I don't get to have a family because I get taken out for doing this, well, I got some, you know, I've had some good experiences with the kids in my life. Like, you know, I've got to act like a mom to some kids, so that was enough. But if I do get to be a mom someday, I'm not going to bring a kid into this world where I know that the trafficking numbers are in the hundreds of thousands of these kids, where if a kid's in foster care, there is a decent chance they're getting sent off on the weekends and sold for sex. That's going on. That's insane, and it's just so sick.
It's crazy. And, I mean, you touched on quite a bit since we've been talking, but it's really, the QAnon movement is really about gaining self-awareness and really looking at what's going on in your community and starting to ask a lot of questions. And you start to notice that things are just kind of off. Like, all of a sudden, you start noticing more missing children reports, which is, you know, crazy. Or you start to see, I started to notice, like, the different messages in the news. I started noticing how a lot of people lacked self-awareness, you know, really good people that I know, but they would just be, like, outraged or just furious over Trump, but they could never piece together a sentence, almost like they were programmed in a sense. Like they're shorting out like a record, just repeating.
They can't tell you why. Yeah. They can't give you details.
Yeah, and it's really
details by saying, well, it's 2,000 kids there. Obama lost 90,000, and here's an article from 2014. You get blocked.
Yeah.
You get blocked when you say a fact, and it's terrifying, or you get deleted. Comments get deleted when you say, why? Tell me why you want Trump impeached. What did he do that illegal? What's illegal that he did? Tell me, because I don't want him impeached, because I want these people taken down. Impeach him after. Whatever. Fine. He won't get impeached. He didn't do anything wrong. Clinton did.
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy.
You. And then you say Clinton, and then they block you.
It's really, really crazy. I don't know. This weekend's supposed to be a really huge weekend of people waking up, and people are just really riding this whole QAnon thing. I mean, a lot of people are talking about it. It's really hot. It's everywhere. Where do you think we're going from here? Like, what do you think next week is going to be a huge week? We're now in August. So August is going to be a huge month.
Well, Q said, so for those who don't know, Q gives this, the Q team gives, basically they give these it's called the Socrates method of learning, and they ask you these questions to get you critically thinking. And so they will give, and they do say disinformation is necessary, and that's because the people who are watching it are the deep state. So they give some of it isn't correct, but for the most part, the things that end up being consistent, I think for the most part, the things that have been consistent have shown through, and the correct things have been consistent. So you start to the disinformation falls away. So what's to come? Q, if they give you a timeline, it's always an ETA, but it generally works out. They said July, the month the world will know. Conspiracy no more. And it happened that way. And now we are in the beginning of August focused on QAnon. This is no longer a conspiracy, meaning it is no longer in the shadows. It is now, I pulled up Twitter tonight, and there it was, first thing, Bloomberg. Pull up, there's Chuck Todd, or Todd, as my mom calls. My mom hates Chuck Todd. Anyway, talking about it, saying we're all into numerology, which is funny because I've never done numerology other than other people doing it for me, or my friend and I doing it in Cosmo magazine. I don't know anything about numerology. This is the. You just asked me a question I've been thinking about all day. I think it's going to be a very intense week. I don't know if arrests are coming. I think what's going to come is the FISA that they use to get these, FISA will be unredacted. The FISA application is going to be unredacted. We're going to see what was really going on. The details of. I think we're just going to find out some information about how they decided to what their plans were to spy on Trump. I saw something that said Trudeau was in on it. I don't know if I'm sure it's true. Basically, they were using other countries to gain access to top classified information and to gain access to recordings of Trump and things like that. They're trying to get him that way. So that's coming out. So once all the unredaction happens, people are going to start to wake up more because they're going to start to see just how bad this entire Spygate, whatever the hell you want to call it, was. Just how targeted the Trump administration was. I don't know if we're going to see arrests. I will say this. There is something that feels like we're hitting a tipping point where someone's going to have to ask Trump, is Q real? Is it real? Are you working with this team? Is it a team in the military? That's the question that's going to come out. And he's really the only one that can answer it. And that's where I think we're headed. And last week, Sarah Huckabee Sanders specifically said, we do not condone any groups that are violent. And the news is trying to paint this group as violent, and it is not a violent group. And I believe that the moment Trump says, yes, we are, if that is what he says, then that narrative falls out the window, and the false flag stuff will become much more apparent to people. The false flags that they've been doing to all of us, all the mass shootings that they've been orchestrating. Those things will start to come out to the surface. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just going to be, once one one door in the dam is lifted, the information starts to come out and people start to wake up. So that's what I think is coming this week, because I think the dam is breaking. Unredactions, et cetera, et cetera. I hope that was clear. Sorry, I'm tired.
No. You've got it. You've got it down. I mean, it's true. There's quite a bit that's going on.
Yeah. What's that?
There's quite a bit that's going on. Just recently Q had released a memo saying that there was a criminal referral for, different members of Congress, James Comey, all this different stuff like that. Like, that was a huge thing, a big drop. And then now it's the big redactions. You're right. What happened with the FISA applications and what they did and unredacting everything. And
did you look at
really,
it? Did you look at it? I didn't mean to interrupt, but you can't. There's nothing. It's all just blocked out white. It's insane.
Oh wow! I haven't seen it yet. I want to look at it. I want to see it.
They linked to look it up. They linked to Q posted a link to it. It's like you got to go through hoops to get to it. I was going to post about it, but I just didn't get to it. It's been a lot. I'm also working at editing my videos and stuff. Yeah, I think that the media is getting exposed is what we're experiencing right now. Once the media gets exposed, people will really wake up. Once they see the lies, that's what I think. And evidence too. I mean, once the FISA gets unredacted, evidence. They have so much evidence from Anthony Weiner's laptop. It's insane. That's another.
There's so many pieces to this huge puzzle. There's so many things.
It's so many. We haven't even begun to talk about Seth Rich. My gosh.
Oh my God. Yeah, Seth Rich. There's so many layers and pieces, and the crazy thing is how it is all connected. That's the craziest, sickening part of it all.
Q connects the dots. That's all they do, and we take those dots and we further connect them, and we give them the backup with documents and news stories. That's it. That's all the Q movement is in a nutshell. So simplified. Nobody gets how they think it's so complicated. So funny. It's going to be a big week. I definitely think it's going to be a big week.
What do you tell to the person that's new to QAnon?
I would say, first of all, it's going to be okay. That you're going to be much freer on this side of things mentally. And that's an amazing feeling. But I will say that you're going to lose a lot in the process, and you have to open your mind and heart and know that though you will lose a lot, you will learn a lot about yourself, and you will find your voice in all of this. It just takes letting go and letting yourself fall into these information rabbit holes and make the connections. And I would also say that the only way we ever prevent something as awful and nasty, because that's what it is, from happening to children is awareness. And the only way we have awareness is by learning their communications, and that's their symbolism. And Q often says their symbolism will be their downfall, and it's so true. It's so very true. It makes it easy to spot the people that buy into this cult. And once you spot it, you lose, for me anyway, I instantly lose connection to that person, because I know that they chose a way of life that I would never choose, and they chose to make decisions that I would never choose, and therefore I cannot ascribe to anything they have to say or do, whatever art it is or views, whatever they've done, supposed good they've done. People don't understand the level this goes, how it's connected to charities, Hollywood. They don't understand. It's deep and it's big and it's dark. But we're all super fun and welcoming, I think.
No, it's very true.
I don't know. I like chatting with people who are on Q, following Q, because they're on Instagram. I've got so many messages I can't ever get to. I try, and my arms and hands have been sore for like a month, just nonstop. Some mornings I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I can't. Like I'm dropping stuff everywhere. But it's been a blast. It's been a blast to meet all these different people and to receive such kindness from people and prayers, and it's been real beautiful. So it's a beautiful movement.
It's the country coming together. That's what it feels like, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. We're taking it back. We're taking the country back. I've said it in a few videos, and people might think I'm dramatic or acting in my videos or something, and it's just, no, I was actually not good at acting. I was good at improv. I was not good at acting. I did not do well. You can go to my acting 4 teacher at Columbia College, Chicago. I got a C in that class. He did not like me. I was not good. I just wanted to do comedy and do bits. That's all I wanted to do. So, no, this is me. I am done. I am so over watching my loved ones suffer unnecessarily and needlessly at the hands of these assholes. And I'm sick of watching story after story of these SRA survivors. Like, I will listen to every single one of them. I will, no matter how hard it is, because I didn't go through it. They did. And they deserve an audience, every single one of them. And they don't deserve to be called crazy. And women like Kathy O'Brien should be given a Medal of Honor, quite frankly. She spoke her truth no matter what against some of the most powerful people. And I can't imagine how awful 2015 and 2016 and the subsequent years have been for her to have to hear that woman's name, Hillary Clinton, over and over and over again, to constantly be reminded, and to watch women idolize somebody who is a rapist to children. I can't even imagine I have to live that way. It's hell. I lived it for 2 years, and it was hard enough, and I didn't have to deal with any of this. So I'm going to continue on until they stop me or until they are all in jail. That's what I'll do, and that's my mission in life, and it's never been more apparent. And I believe everyone who's following Q sees that. It's a bigger picture. It's a much bigger picture than people realize. That's what I think.
I agree. I agree. Speaking of, what do you think about the Q post that the lights go out? We got everything covered. We're talking, I think that's the second time you brought up, safety. And I think safety is a really big thing right now. We're talking about there's this 45,000 sealed indictments, right, which is way above normal numbers. For the Department of Justice, and we got people that are tracking the resignations, the federal indictments. There's a lot that's going on. All these dots that need to be connected. And Q posts one day, that the lights just might go out. And what are your thoughts on this? What do you feel about this?
Well, and to get into the broader aspect of this wasn't just, again, it's not just about a cult. It's about this overarching plan to depopulate. It's mass depopulation. And it all makes sense, like Monsanto and why politicians are so in the pockets of corporations and such. And there have been like 2,000 or 3,000 like CEO resignations. I think last I heard was 3,000. I haven't seen the list. I'd have to look at it. It's insane though. I posted it recently, and it was just, it was like 30 screenshots. After a while, I was like, I just can't. I'm not even going to be able to. I'm not going to make 3. I don't think I made 3 posts about it. But it was just like it's like every CEO is resigned. Why? Well, because all the wealthy people in the world had a plan to create a nuclear war, and that was going to be the start of the mass depopulation at a really fast rate. They wanted to get it to 500 million people on the planet, 66 million in the country. They were going to have 11 districts. It's like the Hunger Games. It's so stupid. Safety. So 45,000 sealed indictments, all these CEO resignations, they have the ability to cut the grid, is my point. They have that ability. And they launched, Q posted about this maybe a month back. They launched, it was in June, I think June 11th. It was during the North Korea Peace Summit. They launched a missile at his airplane. And I got so angry in that video because I'm like, you guys, they tried to start World War III again. Hi, June 2018. They didn't win, and here they are trying to start World War III again. Like, oh, it's so exhausting. And people are like, Russia hacked the election. It's like, shut the F up and pay attention. You're not realizing by not looking, you are actively enabling this behavior. Anyway, so it's like, makes me crazy. So they like have the power to do, they do have the power to shut the internet off. They have the power to shut the lights off. On the 4th of July, Q reposted a post that said disinformation is key, and they mentioned the National Guard being called up and military, you know. So at one point Q said that, and Trump signed an executive order about martial law, and you can look it up. It was in March, and I got in an argument with some guy on Instagram, and I was like, here's the link. Not so hard to look it up. And it's not martial law as in we're taking everyone's guns. At least I would hope not. It's martial law as in, you know, if we do a massive amount of arrests, and the Marines and military and everyone's doing it, National Guard, or National Guard is, you know, going to be on the streets patrolling. And so I think when they say, you know, we are in control, if the lights go out, don't panic and don't go into hysteria. And the whole point of this, and that's the thing that at the end of it, I think everyone is going to feel like such a soul. It cracks me up because ultimately when you boil it down to it, the whole point of Q was for us to learn so that when this happens, we can help our loved ones through, because it's going to be so hard. And our loved ones that are screaming the loudest about Trump are the ones that don't see it the most, and it's going to be the hardest for them. You see what I'm saying? So, like, it was us learning this information to say, I'm going to transition you into this new reality that is reality that has not been presented to you. I'm sorry it is the case. I love you. Let's talk it through. I know far more than enough. I can point you to this person. I can point you to this person. And we have all this data built up now. We've got all these memes. We have all these videos. We have these podcasts now. We have YouTube videos. It's everywhere. We have enough data. You know, not one media person. I've had one media person contact me. But, you know, the Daily Beast, I went on their page yesterday, and I tore them a new one on their post about Q, and they were responding to the naysayers, and they were ignoring me on purpose. Their silence is their digging of their own grave. And it's so funny to watch. This entire movement has been for us to make the transition easier on everybody. And that it breaks my heart, because I'm like, are being so nasty. People are being so nasty to all of us. And they have no idea that we're here to just make it easier on them. And so I just can't wait for that day when everybody finds out, so that we can just hug and I can say, like this is a note. I probably won't get out there because, like, none of my friends are talking to me. So why would they listen to this? But if you are a friend of mine from the past and we don't talk anymore, and I may have yelled at you or, like, kind of, you know, given you a bit of a wake-up call about your behavior or not talking to me or whatever, come find me. I'm here. If you unfollowed me, I am here. I love you. I may be frustrated a little bit, but it's okay. I've moved on. Like, I understand why. Let's talk this through. Like, this is about healing. It's about healing at such a massive scale. And that's why it's so hard for them to get that Trump is doing it, because of what has been painted by the media. So, and, you know, sometimes he does say stuff where you're like, come on, dude. But, you know, he's an agent of change. This isn't about him. This is about us. I didn't even vote for the guy, honestly. I don't know if I will, but if this thing gets pulled off, we'll see, because for crying out loud, I don't even know if I want to vote anymore. I'm so, like, overwhelmed by it all. I'm like, I'll wait till 2020 rolls around, but I definitely will never vote for a Democrat. So that's for sure.
Yeah,
Ever
right.
again.
I mean,
I hope they fall, by the way. So anyway, just to finish the point, I think it means don't panic and talk to your friends and family and help them through. And if they cut the power, we're in control. We've got this. And I really do firmly believe that they do. From everything we've seen, there have been so many things stopped. We've been warned about false flags, and they've happened. We're able to spot the false flags now. So, yeah, I think we all have enough data that if the internet were to be cut, we know enough in our brain. Not everybody, but we know enough. So we'll be okay, I think is the point. That's what I wanted to say.
I agree. I really agree. I think we're at that point now where everything is under control. We're just, you know, I don't know, every week has been such an incredible week, and every week is like a cathartic week. Spirit.
I agree.
I mean, spiritually speaking, in just a couple days, August 8th will be the Lionsgate portal, which is going to be a huge energetic portal that opens every Leo annually. And so, I mean, metaphysically, planet or astrologically, yes, this week is going to bring about something gigantic, and I think
that blood moon shift. I felt that shift after the blood moon. I don't know if you did, but I did.
No, there's a lot. There's so many things that are going on, and that's why I sort of fell into the whole QAnon stuff, because I teach spirituality and I talk about spirituality and I talk about all these incredible concepts and shifting consciousness with people, and all of a sudden, boom, here pops up QAnon. So I look at QAnon and I see what's going on, and it's literally a shift in consciousness for humanity, and that's why I jumped on board, because I'm like, whoa, this is something that's going against the grain. This is questioning the status quo. This is something that I resonate with, and it's also timely. Everything, it's crazy. Yeah. You know, the Q clock and the timing and the numbers and the system and the codes, and the codes bring up.
I've never learned the Q clock. I've never looked at it. I don't know anything about it.
Oh, really? I mean, everything.
I've never done that. That's what's so funny about this movement is I'm like, some people follow that, I don't, but some people follow things I don't. Well, we all get there at the same, time. Anyway, go ahead.
Right. It's crazy. Yeah. It's just crazy how it's like this giant system. It's all numbers. It's patterns. It's all connected. That's the crazy thing about it, is that it's all connected, and we're all going through this exact same thing where we're awakening and we're saying, what is going on? I don't believe in this reality. I'm questioning and challenging this reality. It no longer works for me. And that's what's the scariest part, I think, for people, when they realize that, the world that I believed was real and true is actually not real and true. It was all just a lie, and then you start to really learn all the crazy stuff that goes on there, that is going on out there, that's just being covered up.
The PSYOP I most had the hardest time with, and I still kind of struggle with the climate change stuff. Like, I don't think we should, I think we should get off of plastic, and I think, that none of that has changed. Why are we, the straw thing's funny, because I'm like, I get we should make them legal, but, straws are, the worst. They're, one use, and they get thrown away, and they're not going to biodegrade for, 1,000 years, unless that is made up biodegradation. I don't fucking know. But, but it's, things like that, but it's, they can control the weather. They just can. It's just, it's all real. Sorry, everyone.
So it's interesting you're bringing up the weather. So the weather systems, which has been documented, actually, created by NASA, this weather manipulation system. It was on, what is that show? The guy from
Top Gear. He shows you how it's done. He shows you the friggin' cloud being made, and then it rains. He shows you.
Yep, the Top Gear video. I mean, the technology is real.
Top Gear. It's that guy. Yes, that guy who hosts it.
Yeah, that guy. What about, have you heard about the sun simulators? Have you heard about all that crazy?
No. Oh, my gosh. What?
Oh, you don't. Oh, my God. So,
another time.
We're going to have to probably, that's kind of
people the flat earth theory. I watched, a flat earth theory video, and I was like, you know what? I just can't. I'm not there. And if we find out the Earth is actually flat, I'll deal with it. But I can't. And
not right now.
to be disrespectful to anyone who believes that. That's not what I'm saying. I just there's so much information I'm overloaded with, and it's all so intense that I'm I can same with dinosaurs. If dinosaurs were fake, I don't want to know yet. I don't want to know.
Oh shit, I don't want to know that. Oh man, that's gonna be a hard one to swallow too. Yeah.
I think that, Q says, you'll get to find out. You can find out if you want. You just have to choose. You'll get to know. The choice will be yours to know how much you want to know. So.
Right. And so, I mean, for all the naysayers, all the people out there listening that still don't buy this, there's an incredible author. His name's David Icke. He's been writing about, the world being run by pedophiles, and all these, the Rothschilds and all the corruption in the world. He's been writing about it for 20 or 30 years. He's got an incredible book out right now. It's called Everything You Need to Know But Have Never Been Told, and that's David Icke, I-C-K-E, David Icke, I-C-K-E. But, I mean, this stuff is very real. I mean, you know, Michaela, you're out there, you're reporting on this stuff every day. I'm, you know, trying to talk. I'm starting the conversation, and the conversation, I believe, is going like wildfire across the country. I mean, I feel like people are waking up just incredible. It's on the television, you see it, and, you know, jump on board. QAnon is a peaceful movement. It's researchers looking at information that's being released by the military. And it's really profound in what it is that we're finding out about what's going on, what our government is covering up, what the mainstream media is covering up, the levels of corruption, all the money. Oh, my God, all the money laundering, which is crazy, the rigged elections.
The money laundering is sick. It's sick.
Yeah, there's so many, and it's all connected. Actually, I feel like I want to bomb it.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, I often share a lot about myself, and, like, it might be to my detriment, and that's fine. I do it because I know, like, I knew committing to this, I would probably be torn down, my character at some point. So I'm assuming that, like, a character assassination is coming, and I'm pretty forthright about what I've done in the past. And I've not been perfect in terms of, like, I used to drink a lot and, like, you know, I never, like, other than, like, you know, hooking up and stuff when I was younger, like, I didn't commit any crimes or anything. I just was, like, drunk a lot and got hurt, and, like, I broke a statue when I was drunk. Like, I'll admit all that stuff. Like, I admit my faults a lot, and I do it so that people can see my honesty, and I wear my heart on my sleeve, like, hardcore. But, like, well, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's interesting, though, that you mentioned this, because David Wilcock actually did an interview. I forgot who it was with. Not the Free Thought Collective. It was some, like, one of those, you know, advanced consciousness media outlets, and he talks about this. It wasn't that one, but it was one of those. But they talk about how, you know, people that are going to be out there talking about QAnon or exposing all this stuff, said as long as you know, have you live a life with integrity, you're pretty much not going to be bothered by the cabal, because the cabal want to go after and expose, or they kind of eat themselves. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's what they do. They'll eat themselves versus eating someone that's actually like a good person. That's the worst kind of words to say, but that's the way to describe it. You know, so I feel like you're not going to be attacked, and I feel like you're pretty well protected. You know what I mean?
I challenge them to. I challenge them to dig into my past. I'm not perfect by any means. I've burned a lot of bridges, but, you know, usually if I burn bridges, it's because I was standing up for myself from being used, or I was watching someone hurting themselves and I didn't like it, and I said something. I've done that so many times in my life. I've always stood up if I see something is wrong. And in Chicago, I lived in Chicago for 16 years. I lived in a rough neighborhood, and I was sitting outside having wine. This was in the summer of 2010, and these teenage girls got into a bat fight with, like, a steel bat. And I ran into, like, my soon-to-be ex-husband got so mad at me. It was like, and just because he was worried about me, you know, not mad at me, but he just was like, why'd you do that? He wasn't mad. He was just like, that was really scary. But I was just like, because this girl needs help, and she didn't want my help. So I went back, sat down, and had my wine. I don't drink anymore. But, like, I ran, but, like, I was, like, worried about her. That's my instinct, and I've always been that way. And he witnessed it so many times. I feel bad now. I always, like, put him in. But, I mean, like, I've always been that way. And the primary and the election only fueled it harder, and it woke it up harder. But, you know, I've done so much. I've tried so much. I tried LA. I was an actor. I went to college got my theater degree. I tried to be an actor, didn't like it, left, quit acting, started teaching myself how to make lamps, started a lamp making business, but I got hit by a car in 2008. The lamp woodworking that I did fueled everything, made everything worse on my spine. I had 2 herniated discs, I had to have spinal surgery, and then this pain disorder, and here I am, right? So, like, so that's been, like, my journey to get here. In that time, I've been out of work because, like, if I physically am in pain all the time, sitting up too long, I'm in pain. I have to lay down frequently. I can go a whole day, but it screws me up. I've been sitting at the computer way more than I have in the last few weeks working on videos, and it's wrecking me. I'm in way more pain the last few weeks than I've been in months. It's just been like, that's just what it is. I've been out, and I'm sharing all this with you. Like I said, I gave you that caveat. I need to preface this with, if anyone listens to this, whatever, like, I don't share this I don't want any donated money. I don't want anyone ever doing a GoFundMe for me. I got myself here. I'll get myself out. I don't want anyone's help. I really don't want anyone's help out there. I asked help from the government. The government that I've worked for since I was of legal age working, I pretty much worked every single year. I started working when I was 11 as a nanny, and my family got my Social Security and took taxes out of my check. I started working at a movie theater when I was 14. I worked at a pool when I was 15. I worked at hotels in high school and college. I worked consistently. I paid into my disability insurance. I applied in June of 2016. I had my hearing finally in April of this year. I got my rejection letter 2 weeks ago. I have student loans I'm being collected on. I haven't been able to pay for 2 years. I'm getting collection letters for a student loan I took out that I borrowed $49,000 on. It is now over $50,000. I paid it for over a decade, $325 a month. I did all that. I did everything I was supposed to do. I started a business because they told me that's what you're supposed to do. I did everything right by their rules, and here I am. I don't think people who haven't experienced this get that, what that feeling is like. And so it's an important thing to remember. I say these things because it's a perspective to have of a government that has done the things they have done, the damage they have done, and the money they have stolen, and the lives they have stolen and taken, and the hate they spread and the divisiveness they spread. And here I am, just trying my best to be the person I'm supposed to be. And I am what they are doing. Right now, in my current state, I am a victim of the mass depopulation plan. I'm trying to put it in perspective for people to see that. If you see somebody who is experiencing homeless, they are a victim of the mass depopulation plan. It is a design. It is by design. And so if I didn't have my mom to take care of me, God bless my mom. God or not, whatever, who cares, bless my mom and my dad and my family. They could take care of me. They can help me a little bit with my medication, and that's it. I had to have my gallbladder removed this year. I got those bills coming after me. I mean, I don't know what to do. So I'm just existing and hoping that I'm going to appeal it. I have one more chance to appeal it. And then I don't know, I guess I'll work part-time and do what I can. I don't know. I was using this computer project as a chance to practice, and it's just, I wouldn't be able to do any self-care if I had to work like this. And it just gets worse, and I've been trying to avoid a flare-up as best I can. So that's my experience in the day-to-day. If they want to try and tear me down, they're welcome to. I'm 100% honest on purpose for this reason, because I will stand in my truth, and I will stand in this truth until the day I die, at their hands or whatever. People don't know this. I had a threatening call in June. I got in my car a few days after, and the rearview mirror was pushed down. I know for a fact I did not do that. I know for a fact. The car was new, and I never adjusted the mirror, not once. It was my mom's car. She traded her car out. So it wasn't like I was the same mirror I was staring at for the last year. You know what I mean? It was new enough to know. So those are things. And then there are other people that follow Q that post on social media that one woman's garage got broken into, and there was a note left that said, "Stop posting." It's real. It's very real. I now have weapons for protection. I never, ever, ever thought I would be that person in my life, ever. And I didn't realize doing these videos was going to put me in that position. Not really. Not till maybe there's a video I could pinpoint and tell you. I'd have to look it up, where I'm just losing my mind crying. And I'm wearing, I remember because I was looking at it recently, I've got on a blue sweatshirt with a hood, and I'm just bawling, and I say how scared I am. It occurred to me that they're going to kill me. And I cried, and I spent a whole day in bed. So, and I made the decision that I'm going to just keep going. And I'm doing it for the lives they took. It's that simple. I'm doing it for the division and the destruction. I'm done. That's who the Q followers are. So if people really want to know, they can ask me. I'm not an alt-right white supremacist. Why do they think that frog is white supremacist? I still don't understand Pepe. I still can't get my head around Pepe. And cat, I don't get those things. I need help with that. Someone's going to have to explain that to me. Anyway.
Oh, I think I could kind of help you out. So, like, Keck is this, like, frog god that Keck's whole existence is to use memes in order to spread a message and to go viral. And so it's like this really, it's apparently this like really strong energy phenomenon, and that's why you see the frog everywhere, because the frog is like a super energetic. I don't know how that is, and
it's so funny. It's hilarious.
It's hilarious. I love it. I mean, like the whole. What was that?
Yeah. I didn't pay attention to the Trump campaign whatsoever. I was so mad. I was so focused on Hillary not getting in, which is like it was divine intervention. I was so focused on her not getting office. I didn't care about Trump. Isn't that funny? I knew we could. I don't know why. I just knew we'd survive under Trump. I knew we couldn't. She could not be president. Isn't that funny? I just knew it in my heart. So messed up. So I missed so many things, including the entire Pepe thing. So now when I didn't watch the debates, I didn't watch any of that. So I get to like see those for the first time now when I see clips, and when I see him like own Hillary, it's so funny. Anyway, so Pepe, Keck. Okay, so Keck is the frog. Keck is the frog, not Pepe.
Yeah.
You go on. I'll shut up.
I don't know who Pepe is.
I thought I kept hearing Pepe the frog. So Keck. See, that's what I'm saying. Like this is how like I'm so focused on this other information that I'm like, I'll figure it out later. But maybe there's an account that says Pepe the frog. I don't know that I follow. Keck is the
frog god for something. I like looked it up, and it was like the frog god for memes and for like sending out messages and that's why you see him all the time, and you see him in like different positions, right? Like doing different things and smoking joints, and his eyes will be rolled, and like he does like different things. So it's very, very interesting. It's so bizarre.
It is, honestly, it's like that people always mock the left for their meme ability, and like they're right though. Like I'm sorry, but man, like the Trump supporters are whatever. I don't think there's left right anymore. I can't wait till we get rid of those like paradigms or the constructs. I can't wait for those to be gone. Like I just anyway. But the like Trump, the MAGA peeps. The MAGA people have a there's just like a tongue in cheek that you don't get, and so it makes these memes. Some of these memes are just. There's one like I was talking with somebody in my messages about like the adrenochrome stuff bothers me so much. It makes me just like I have such a hard time with that, but like. And I'm a pretty, like, empathic. I'm very empathic. And I often with this dark, because I put myself in people's shoes a lot in my brain. I try to, like, put myself, like, what it's like from their eyes and in their body. So if somebody's got pain, I can kind of, like, imagine what it would feel like, So if there's, like, dark stuff, I have to, like, stop myself from doing that. Like, so I'll, like, think about what it's like to be addicted to adrenochrome, and I just get so grossed out at the idea of it. But this meme that somebody photoshopped George Soros' face onto Hillary Clinton's head, and it says, "Give me some ODAT adrenochrome." And I see ODAT adrenochrome, and like his stupid idiot face, I hate him so much, on her stupid idiot head, I hate her so much. And I don't use hate. I try real hard not to use the word hate. I've always been that way. I'm like, hate's a strong word. I try really hard not to use it, but like, I hate them. Anyway, but like that meme is, I think, my spirit meme. Oh my God. Like it's the exact, just like, what is this world we're in? That is the exact descriptor to me of just how insane the whole scenario is. And it like sums it up in one little silly dumb meme, or you're like, yep, you MAGA peeps know what you're doing.
If we have to tell everyone, for like the Q-anon, I don't know, like survival guide, like where do we go from here? what helped facilitate your awakening? Like, so for example, let me say, like, I feel like if you want to really start, getting involved, I guess, in QAnon, is question what's going on around you, and you really need to have a strong self-awareness, right?
You do.
Like, what are some other things that are like, like I also noticed, like, the whole Trump derangement syndrome. That's like a very real thing where people are like overly emotional, like they can't control their emotions. That's kind of like, something's off about that person. What are some other like QAnon survival?
They think he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
They think he's a Nazi. So they think if you say you like him, you're a Nazi. That's why.
Right.
And the word Nazi and Holocaust are a trigger. Nobody goes past it. There was somebody I followed who was like, and who followed me was like, I think I found out after the fact that she was Antifa, so I was like, I don't care, then fine, bye. Like, I try to be very open, but inciting violence, I don't know, you guys, she's Louise. Anyway, so, and now that I know how much of that, like, was going on around the Trump rallies was orchestrated by, Soros and stuff, it's like, once you see it, it's like, okay. But she got really, like, mad when I was saying this is Holocaust levels of lives lost, and that's not inaccurate. That's not what these SRA survivors are saying. These are thousands and thousands of people, more. I mean, it's a lot of people. And to me, that is a Holocaust of lives lost.
And it's 800,000 children annually.
What's that?
It's 800,000 children annually, and I mean that's just what the number that's public.
Yeah, 25. It's I've seen the figures are it's hard to like because they've been fudging the numbers.
Yeah.
But I've seen upwards of $150 billion industry. The lowest figure I've seen is $25 billion. So I would say that if you're going to argue against this, $25 billion industry is still an inexcusable amount of money when it comes to the selling of human. Any amount of money is inexcusable, but that is so obvious that who can afford that? Like that's a great place to start. And I've started there with people. Who can afford to do this trafficking? Who can afford to make this industry surpass gun sales? Who? Why are all of these politicians going into public office and coming out millionaires? And so it's like, until you question, it takes questioning the motivation of politicians beyond, you can't accept that they want to make this world better for you when they haven't done it yet. You have to stop accepting their promises and stories. Octavia Cortez is a great example. I haven't looked into her much because I don't give a shit at this point, because I see that Bernie is just as much in on this by covering it up and shilling for the Democrats. So I am done being told by our revolution or Progressive Army or whomever. I'm done because I don't know who of them are in on it. So I am done listening to any of the progressive outlets at this point. I am thinking for myself now. And Octavia Cortez doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. I'm sorry. From what I've seen, it seems like she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. And she actually said she wanted to flip a seat red instead of blue. She's in way over her head, and they're eating her alive. And that's what's going to continue to happen. And it's like, once you see it, it's like if I had been in where I'm at right now, I would have not fallen for Bernie. Once you break out of the programming, you realize he was just as much controlled opposition. It takes getting yourself to a point of seeing the big picture so much you can't be fooled. But you have to get there by starting somewhere. And I started by seeing the lies of the media and the lies of politicians. And then the WikiLeaks email. And to anybody who is supporting the Democrats without reading those, you have officially allowed this to happen to you, and I'm sorry. But you have allowed yourself to get blindsided by this, and I'm sorry for you. I didn't. I chose to look. That's reality. So I just have to say that because tonight I got hit by some guy with 5,000 plus followers, and he's in Our Revolution's dude. And he said to me that Q is a psyop. And I responded and said, how much have you read? And then he didn't respond yet. And then I went onto his profile and I saw Our Revolution. And I said to him, oh, never mind, you're with Our Revolution. So you didn't bother to read the WikiLeaks emails then. I made these videos for people like you to help you through this time of transition. Good luck to you. He blocked me. That's insane. That's insane. That's an insane response. I made these videos for a reason. I share everything about myself for the most part, not everything, but I share a lot about myself for a reason. Because I am a Q follower. You are a Q follower. We do not fit the MAGA mold that they put us into. Same with the Bernie bros. I never, ever was like, never bought that narrative. I realized that narrative was a lie. Mm-hmm. People still think that's a thing. That's the problem. So it's going to take, unfortunately, people getting smacked in the face with truth, with evidence. And those are the ones that are going to have the hardest time. And to them, I say, welcome aboard. I'm sorry you had to get here the way you did. You should have read the WikiLeaks emails, but now you're here, so there we go. Let's move forward and let's learn. And open your mind. Look at the big picture. Always look at the big picture. You know what helps with that was learning about the Rothschilds. Because once you learn the amount of power and money that they had and how much they control, like half the world, they control the city of London. That when I say that, there's a city inside London called the City of London. Most people don't know that. It's been there for like 1,000 years. It has its own mayor. It's run by the Rothschilds. Antarctica. There was a treaty signed after the UN was put together that made it so nobody can travel to Antarctica. What? What are they doing in Antarctica? Weather manipulation. It's like once you start to see, and who knows what else. That's only like the brief. I don't know a ton about Antarctica, but I know enough, And it's like once you see, once you start to connect these dots, it's like, well, now I know that the student loans collecting on me right now, I said to them, what do you want from me? I got nothing. I'm not going to beg people to pay my loans. I'm not doing a damn GoFundMe. Fuck that. No, I'm not. I won't. I will never do one of those unless, something awful happens and I absolutely have to, but God forbid. Because, no, I'm not giving them the satisfaction. I'm not going to do it. They feed off our energy, and they love that shit. They love watching people beg for money. They love watching people beg for money. That's how they get off. That's one of the ways. I'm done. I won't do it. I started shouting at them. I used to do collections. I know how much it sucks. But I didn't, shout. But I got a little what are you going to do to me? I was just what are you going to do to me? Do we have a debtor's prison? What are you going to do to me? And I just, I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm done. Yeah. I told them they send when you're getting collected on a $50,000 loan, they send you for a student loan, which by the way is private because that's what they did. They deregulated, so Sally Mae did predatory lending, and my college doubled my tuition in a decade. And when I went, it was insane, and now it's doubled almost, which is absolutely just sick, so sick. Meanwhile, the minimum wage was $5.15 an hour in 1997 when I worked in a movie theater. And it's $7.25 an hour. I try to say these things so people can, wake up to reality of how they've set it up for us. I know it's the Rothschilds. They set my 6% interest rate. I know Bill Clinton deregulated everything at the end of the damn century, the winner that he is. So I went to college starting in 2001. I went to college right after 9/11. I started my adult life in the New World Order. So I never stood a chance. So I don't give a shit what they're collecting on me. Fine. Peace out. Okay. Can't get blood from a snake holes. You know what I mean? It's like that. I get real sweary and frustrated because I'm I don't know anymore. I paid it for over a decade. You guys have, if you take away the interest and you apply it directly to the actual amount borrowed, I paid it. So you're good. They send me a letter that's you can make one payment of $30 $7,000, 2 payments of $20,467. Like, it's like they're calculating it where it's like, oh, you guys, just round it. Nobody's going to care. They're like, just round the numbers. And they're like, you can make 4 payments of $8,000. And you're like, what? Where? How? What magic? I would be paying you if I had money. Like, I would. Like, it doesn't, it's just, and then the one chance I had, I can't, But look what I'm doing right now. I'm making these videos, and I got my disability denied. So I don't know. I'm not saying they're connected, but who knows? And it was out of the city of Chicago, so, that city's a real, I am a vocal critic of Rahm Emanuel online, and I tag him, and I have been for 2 years. So I guarantee you that didn't help my case. So that's fine. I don't care. Rahm Emanuel is a sick, horrible human being whom I used to live 5 blocks from, so that's terrifying. Now that I'm like, oh, my God, I can't believe I live so close to that creep. Anyway, so that's all my information. I'm sharing a lot because come at me, deep state. I'd like to see you try. You've done enough to me. I've got proof. I'm living proof of your work. So there you go.
Cool.
That's why I've done so much knowledge swallowing in my brain so that I could, that's why I've done all the activism in the last year and a half. That's why it was all practice so that I could face this moment. And I didn't know. Isn't that ironic? I had no idea. I just followed my instinct and my gut. And the only reason I followed my gut is because I got a pain disorder and I realized I wasn't listening to my gut. And so I started cultivating my instincts, and that's where I am today. And this has been a few years. So I don't know. People need to just open their minds, and they need to look at the big picture, and they need to realize that this has been orchestrated by a world order, a new world order. And there are plenty of clips of these people saying it. And there are things like Bohemian Grove, and you can't deny it. You can't deny what they're doing. You can't deny the rumors at this point because they're not rumors. They're experiences, and they're real. And the more you learn, the harder it is to deny it. So it just becomes accepting it so that you can learn it. So we can never let it happen again. This is decades and decades. This is ancient. This is old. And it can't happen this way. There was a Doctor Who episode. I'm a big Doctor Who fan, although I have a feeling that all of who knows anymore, because England is just, like, the UK is so bad in terms of this stuff. Like, the royal family is involved. It is so dark. They've, like, knighted known pedophiles before. I mean, it's just, but there's this Doctor Who episode, a lot of them ring out in my ears these days, but one rings out my ears, you know what I mean, where it's called The Doctor's Daughter, and it's David Tennant, who is my favorite. If he's in on this, I swear to God, there is nothing good in the world. Anyway, I love David Tennant so much. He gets, somebody clones him the moment that he lands on this planet. They, like, touch his hand, clone him, and they create, or they get some sample of his DNA, and they create an offspring right away. Because the way they do it is they're cloning an army, and it's a planet at war. And he shows up, and this army is fighting. There's a war happening on this planet, and they're just making generation after generation that keeps getting killed and killed and killed, and they're making him at a very fast rate. And at no point does anyone realize that what they're fighting for has been a lie. Like, basically, it's just this, like, it's like I started to realize that it's like there's this, that's what it is you're born, and you're born into this, and you're a generation, and then you're told to go to college or join the army or get a job, and that's exactly what this episode is these people getting born and then directly getting dropped into war, and that's all they know. And so that's how they did it. You can see how they orchestrated it once you learn what they've done, who they are. You can see it in real time. It's trippy, and you can see what they're doing in real time. And you can see the new, like, now. I pulled up Twitter the other day, and I was like, CIA, CIA, CIA. I could see everything that was CIA pushed. I could just see through the lies of the tweets and who was tweeting them. It was really interesting to see. And it was just like I've gone to a next level where I'm like, you can't fool me anymore. I got into an argument. You know, I've been very honest about what I think about Craig Sawyer, and a lot of people are coming at me. He's this like Navy SEAL guy who's got a show on Netflix, and Q talks about Netflix being heavily a part of this and working on normalizing pedophilia. And Susan Rice, who is like Bad News Bear, is part of the Obama administration, is on their board, and the Obamas have a show. And you know, the Q has shown us so much symbolism, and that's all I'm doing, is I'm applying the symbolism. And I'm applying the fact that they hide in plain sight, and that they put people in place as distractions to make it look like things are getting done when they're not. They do it all the time. I've seen it so many times now. The American public get distracted so easily, they move on to the next thing. They forget instantly, and we move on. And I watch this pattern over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it drives me, oh, my God, it makes me so crazy. And I'm watching it over and over again. I say, what was I just talking about? I lost my train of thought. Hold on. See, it happens. What was I just talking about? You got me.
Talking about Netflix, normalizing pedophilia, hiding in plain sight.
Craig Sawyer. Thank you. You did it. See, you're my best friend. Okay. So I love it. I started calling out Craig Sawyer because this group down, these veterans in Tucson, are discovering real connections to the Rothschilds, to the Clintons, to Soros, to Cemex, real links, actual links to the trafficking happening in Mexico coming up through the border, actual real links. Craig Sawyer gets called down there, at first agrees that they found this encampment on Cemex property. At first he agrees, then he goes. Then he changes the story a few times, and then he makes a video debunking it. And then he just talks shit about them. Mm-hmm. Really? You, who want to stop child trafficking, are calling people at the border liars? So you're siding with law enforcement, who are covering it up? And I started digging. And he backs the FBI and CIA and works with them. He's an actor. He's in Hollywood. He on his bio in Wikipedia, had Hillary Clinton, and John McCain listed. And he said, well, I did security for whatever, and I was guarding all these people. And it's like, well, then why did you put those two in your bio? He's on Alex Jones a lot. Alex Jones is total bullshit. I've always known that, I think. I think he works for the CIA as well. They do it to discredit just enough to make people crazy. That's how they divide. It's obvious. Once you see it, it's obvious. So there's a video of him saying, oh, I got a call, so I went down there, and, you know, I called my friend, they called my camera crew, and I was like, there are kids sitting down there, let's go get some footage. And then we get down there, but there are no kids, and then he laughed. And I'm like, hi, you just admitted, like, the most disgusting choice to make. The only reason he went down there was to get footage. So, you know, I start digging, and he's got these symbols, or he's got these, like, infographics on his Instagram page that are basically how-tos on how to traffic somebody. And he's publishing lists of apps you can use to track toddlers, but he's doing it under the guise of helping. That's what I think, and it makes me grossed out. And so I called him out, and he blocked me. And I looked at I've been looking at symbolism a lot. Everyone is now. And who follows this, because that's how they do it. They hide it in plain sight because they like that. They get off on that. That's their thing. So his logo has the characteristics, the shape, and the color of the FBI pedophile code logo, symbolism. It's just flipped upside down. So I just flipped it upside down and compared them, and they're like eerily similar. And I got into arguments today with his charity about it. He's blocked me. He blocked me on Instagram after that. I believe he is the one who threatened me via phone call. Because it was the night I started making videos and discovering it, and the next morning I made a video, and then that night, or the next day, I got a threatening call, actually. I think it was the next day. It's all, you can look at the videos, June 23rd, 24th, I was around there, telling me to stop my attack on Patriots. Well, I just hung up before that. I didn't want to hear. They said they were Q-team, and I was like, you're not Q-team. They wouldn't fucking call like that. It was so stupid. It was so obvious. Like, it's so obvious, I'm not dumb. Like, they think we're dumb. So today I'm getting in an argument with this with Veterans for Children. There's Veterans on Patrol, which are the people in Tucson, and then there's these Veterans for Children. And, my intent is not to tear down an organization that's doing good. My intent is to say, why is your logo the same as pedophile code? And I asked them, and they're like, oh, yeah, to flip it upside down. And I was like, yeah, that's not that difficult. Please tell me why you chose these designs. And they won't answer. And they told me, you can come down here and get your hands dirty. And I was like, I don't want to go near any of you. No thanks.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and they're like, we warmly invited you. And they said, my mind is closed, and I want to hide behind my little videos. And I just was like, ha, 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 okay, thanks. Good luck to you. And Open Secret is another example. They are a documentary in Hollywood. I thought they were legit. I brought up Craig Sawyer being deep state, and they blocked me. Isaac Cappy is coming forward. Corey Feldman is being a dick to him and being weird. Why are all these people being like, that's the thing about Q. Q shows you how to spot the liars. And, no offense to Corey Feldman. I know he went through a lot, but, like, if you're not going to be true and you're not really going to try and end this, then why are you going to fight back? I would think if you are somebody, and that's the thing about VOP down in Tucson, is he says everything that Q says and everything I agree with, that the government's covering this up and they're doing it. CIA is doing this. Why would you work with why, if you're stopping this, would you work with the CIA willingly? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, they're the ones perpetrating this. That's how you do it. Ask why. If you want to know if you're new to Q or you don't, ask why. Learn the information so that you know how to ask why. That's all it is. It's a connection. Because once you make those connections, it's undeniable. And so I think today was a perfect example. And I got so frustrated. And I was like, and it was making me sick to my stomach because I was just like, I can't believe I'm arguing with these assholes on Twitter and, like, putting my life at risk over this, calling out these assholes. But you know what? I'm just going to do it. Because, like, if you're hurting kids or you're enabling the elite to hurt kids and you're lying, then you deserve to be called out. And if you're going to threaten a disabled artist who lives with her mom who's broke as a joke and, like, fine, threaten me, come at me, you'll kill me. I know that. I'm not afraid. Like, that's why I'm like, I'm not afraid anymore. I'm like, everyone can get me. I'm a sitting duck. I'm a slave to my schedule. I'm not going to lie. People are like, get a VPN, do this stuff. Nah, I'm not doing any of that shit. I'm not hiding. I'm not. I'm not. Like, that's what's caused this and enabled it. And you know what? By me saying that and not hiding anymore, maybe that helped Isaac. Maybe it didn't. I don't think he watched any of my videos, but maybe that energy went into the universe to help him. That's what I mean. Maybe that energy of saying no more reached Cappy, and maybe it reached this guy Michael Whalen yesterday, and that's what I was supposed to do on this planet. That's why I'm here. The rest, I hope I get to do the things I want to do someday. But right now, until this transition happens, this is what I got to do, and I know that. And I found a woman today or yesterday who, she's just like me, I think. I want to reach out to her, but her account is, like, temporarily focused on Q-anon, and she just, like, changed it, and that's what I did. My account before was just art. It was photography, and it was a little bit of music. I've been working on music, and it was that I didn't start doing that till after I started waking up. I started writing music. It's been pretty fun. My voice has gotten better, so it's just all this stuff. It's all this stuff's changed for me. I made lamps. I make lamps when I can handle it. So, yeah, that was what I did before. People just need to open their minds and stop being afraid. The truth is hard and it's scary, but it's freer. It's freer, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And what a beautiful way, I think, to close out this tonight's session. I think there's so much that we covered. We went on, and I mean, we could talk about this for weeks, for months.
Yeah, we really can.
I mean, there's so much that's going on. All the dots. Michaela, Robot Enthused, we have to have you back. We have to talk more about what's going on in QAnon. This upcoming week, we got the Lionsgate portal opening up on August 8th, which is really huge. Lots and lots of energy that's going to be shifted on the planet. We've got, we're currently 7 planets are retrograde right now. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the planet. So it's no wonder people are waking up in droves. And I'm so glad that we got to have this moment that you shared and that you were so open. I'm very, very grateful for this time. And I feel like, and I've been getting a lot of confirmations during this this interview that the angels are with you and they're protecting you. And so everything's going to be okay. We're going to be great. It's going to be fine. And with that, let's close with love. I've got to have you back, Michaela. I'm so glad that we spent this evening talking. Thank you so much for your time. I cannot thank you enough.
Thank you.
All right, until next time, we'll catch you on the Sleeping Yogi podcast.